Let me ask you something. If you had only 1 year left to live, would you keep your current schedule? Would you still chase the same things? Would you keep paying the same price for your minutes? If the answer is no, then maybe you already know what needs to change. There's one thing you'll never see on a receipt: the hours of your life you traded to earn what's on it. When you buy a phone, you think it costs $800, but what it really cost was 2 weeks of your time. When you buy a car, maybe it costs $30,000, but in truth, it costs 2 years of your waking life. And the most painful part? We don't even think in those terms. We've been trained to measure everything in money, never in minutes. Imagine if every purchase came with a second price tag, not in dollars, but in hours. A cup of coffee, 15 minutes of your life. A new TV, 40 hours. That vacation you're saving for. 5 months of work. Would you still buy it? Would you still call it worth it? Because here's the truth. We don't spend money. We spend time. Money is just the middleman. When I was younger, I believed time was endless. We all do. You wake up, check your phone, rush to work, back scroll through messages, watch a few shows, go to bed, and you think you'll do it again tomorrow. But one day, you realize the tomorrows aren't infinite. There's a quiet moment that hits you, maybe in your late 20s, maybe later, when you notice how fast the weeks disappear. Friends move away, the people you love get older, and suddenly you see time for what it really is, the only currency that actually matters. But the system doesn't want you thinking like that. It wants you to believe your hours are renewable, that you can always work more, earn more, buy more. So it distracts you with screens, with goals, with endless tasks until your life feels like a series of deadlines. We say things like, time is money, but that's one of the biggest lies ever sold. Time is life. Money is a story, and every time we trade the first for the second, we lose something sacred. Think about your average day. How many hours belong to you? Not your boss, not your bills, not your phone, just you. Be honest. For most people, the answer is maybe 1 hour, maybe 2. And even that hour is spent recovering from the rest. The world has convinced us that free time is a luxury, not a birthright. That rest must be earned. That joy is a reward, not a reason for living. But here's the secret. Every creature on earth lives in time, not money. A tree doesn't budget its sunlight. A river doesn't charge for flowing. Only we've turned our days into invoices. I once met a man in his 60s who had worked every day since he was 18. He was proud of that. Never missed a day, he said. Retiring soon. Can't wait to finally live. 2 months after his retirement party, he died of a heart attack. He spent 42 years earning money, waiting to live. But time doesn't give refunds. And yet, we all think we'll be different. We think we'll find balance after this project, or after the promotion, or after the kids grow up. But life doesn't start later. It's happening now, this second, as you listen to this video. Every minute you trade for something meaningless is a minute you'll never get back. And the tragedy is, you won't even notice until it's gone. Let's do a little thought experiment. You earn $20 an hour. A new jacket costs $200. That's 10 hours of work. For most people, that's 10 hours you'll never spend with your family, your art, your peace. Is the jacket still worth it? Now stretch that out. The average person works about 90,000 hours in a lifetime. 90,000. Out of that, only a few thousand are spent laughing, exploring, truly living. So the real question isn't, how much money do you make? It's how much life do you have left to spend? I remember once sitting at my desk watching the clock tick toward 5 p.m. Each second sounded like a drop of water leaking from a cracked pipe. And I thought, this is my life draining away, drop by drop, waiting for permission to go home. That image haunted me for weeks. It still does, because one day all our clocks stop. And in that last quiet moment, you won't care how big your paycheck was. You'll care about how many moments you truly lived. But here's where it gets interesting. If time is the real currency, then wealth isn't about how much you have, it's about how you spend it. Some people live rich lives with almost no money, others die poor in spirit with millions in the bank. The difference? Awareness. When you know your minutes are sacred, you stop wasting them. You stop saying yes to things that drain you. You start measuring value in joy, not dollars or money. You realize that an afternoon with a friend is priceless, that watching the sunset costs nothing and gives everything, that laughter is wealth, that presence is profit. The system doesn't understand that kind of math. It can't monetize stillness. It can't tax gratitude. So it keeps you distracted with endless to-dos, endless notifications, endless next. But every time you pause, every time you breathe and notice the moment, you step outside the system's clock. For that instant, you're free. Not escaping work entirely, but reclaiming ownership of your hours, saying these minutes are mine. So how do you buy back your time? You start small. You question every demand that steals your hours. You cut what doesn't matter. You remember that no is a complete sentence. You stop chasing busy as a badge of honor. You schedule peace. You make space for silence, because silence is where life hides when you're too busy to notice. And slowly, something changes. You find yourself breathing again. You start to see beauty in the ordinary. The world feels slower, wider, kinder. You realize that wealth was never about accumulation. Let me ask you something. If you had only 1 year left to live, would you keep your current schedule? Would you still chase the same things? Would you keep paying the same price for your minutes? If the answer is no, then maybe you already know what needs to change. Because every day you trade your time for money, you're making a deal with the timekeeper, and the timekeeper always cashes the check. I once heard a line that stuck with me. You can make more money, but you can't make more time. Simple, brutal, true. So guard it. Spend it like the precious thing it is. Spend it on people who light you up, on things that make you feel alive, on silence, on art, on laughter, on love. Because one day the clock will stop, and you'll want to know that your hours were well spent. In part 6, we'll bring this to a conclusion. We'll ask the daring question: what if we stopped trading our time for money altogether? What would life look like in a world where existence itself doesn't have a price tag? A world without money. Not chaos, not collapse, but something simpler, softer, more human.